You called the church the Shriker. It was rubble now, and took an extravagance of imagination to see it as a house of worship. The night before you took me there for the first time, we had the same dream. Sharing your bed, I fell asleep with your breath warm on my shoulder. In the morning, I rolled over and whispered into your eyelashes about the giant beneath the window. It had a crow's head and cawed at me until I woke, sweating against your back. I know, you murmured. I was there too. I got up and was sick in your bathroom. Your fingers rubbed circles onto my back as I laid my head against the porcelain. Are you scared? I asked you. You wiped my mouth with the back of your hand and looked away. Your mum insisted on making us breakfast before we set off. We held hands under the table as we ate. Breakfast was scrambled eggs, fragrant and garnished attractively with a sprig of parsley. I tended to steer clear of scrambled eggs, finding them an uneasy marriage of curdling milk, yolk, and cheese, sludging the back of my palate. After a few swallows, my chest tightened, gut rolled. The giant lifted its feathered head in horror, and why should it not? How is it, girls? Your mum asked. Delicious, I told her, with the smile that turned me cherubic the way adults liked. She was Scandinavian, a graphic designer, which I thought explained the artful parsley, and always let me stay the night, even after you told her the truth about us. I took big breaths, then small ones, and swallowed everything but the parsley stuck between my teeth. To get to the Shriker, we had to walk through a rich neighborhood. You skateboarded and I savoured the doll houses with lawns green as candy, and fences, the way they hid their occupants and turned them into disjointed vertical slivers. Last night, in my dreams, I'd seen the same view from inside the giant's beak, light pouring in through jagged teeth. You stood on the other side, and I kept turning my head to see your face. I could only ever glimpse shreds of you, one eye and half a mouth. At that age, tracing 13, I hadn't realized you were part of this fenced elite. Wealth was intangible to me, and you were so very tangible, your cold hands ghosting the sides of my waist as you helped me balance on your board. I was not allowed to skate at home after an unfortunate incident with my cousin's Heelys. It was Christmas. We were at my grandparents' house by the sea. I had tripped and hit the concrete hard. I tried to scream, but all that came out of my mouth were teeth. I remember holding the victims, a canine and a premolar, in my bleeding palm. Tonguing the hollow in my gum, I felt a whole universe bloom and die in the new space in my mouth. When you steadied me with a hand to the outside of my thigh, I felt that same infinity rise and contract. As we walked, you told me you had never gone inside the Shriker, only imagined yourself there. You couldn't remember when you'd first heard of it. All the children of this place knew about the crumbled church beyond the trees. Ghost stories traveled quickly at this age, drifting from one house to another like the telephone wires between them. Ever since you were young, you would lie awake in bed, lovely hair curling with fierce sweat, and travel to the Shriker in your mind. You would wait at the arched doorway, watching the darkness beyond, never entering, never turning away. Last night you knew you were dreaming, not thinking, because you stepped forward. Inside you saw a room full of people, who were not real people but facsimiles, as if rendered from concrete instead of flesh. You told me this and shuddered. By the time we found the path to the Shriker, anxiety churned in me beside the eggs. Sydney summer was in full fury, and we simmered in the pre-storm air. Static leaked into my skin, rose the fine hair on my arms. We walked on, watched by antediluvian eucalyptus trees, their camphor stench sliding down my throat like cough syrup. Our breath heavied. We had raced each other before the path steepened. There was something about the way the trees fractured the light that made me want to run. You were taller, but I was faster, and I won. This made me the boy, I decided. So I led the way, using a stick to clear spiderwebs from the dense bush around us. I twisted my sweat-slicked hair into a ponytail and felt your eyes on the back of my neck. Just before the rain started, we found the Shriker. It was almost ruins, but held the image of a church the way a blink holds the image of light in the eyelids. It made my teeth chatter to look at it. I tasted egg, parsley, gum blood. You were white as bone, and I knew you wanted to beg me to take you home, but you didn't. I think if we had understood why we wanted so badly to impress each other, we might have turned back. But we had no way of speaking without giving it a name. So inside the Shriker we went. The roof had crumbled, and through a stained glass window, though a stained glass window remained unbroken, high above the absent door. Inside, a few rotten pews lay scattered. The room smelt of old clothes and trips to the nursing home and something far more primordial. The stagnant air congealed in my mouth. I moved forward, trying to make out the figure in the stained glass. No crucifix, not Christ, nor Sebastian then. I stepped back. Female but no habit. Not Mary, maybe Joan, or Crunch. I kneeled, lifting my shoe gingerly. A small skull, a cat, no, a bird, was crushed beneath it. If you weren't squeamish, I would have taken it for my shoebox. I looked up at you, a tense silhouette in the doorway. I knew your eyes tracked me. This was the furthest apart we'd been all day. I rose, eyes locked on the patch of darkness that was you. Behind you, something shifted. I almost feel it, I whispered. You didn't need to respond. In our dreams, we had stood and waited, knowing something was going to happen at any moment, was always about to happen. You moved forward, 3 deliberate steps. That's where the giant with the head of the crow stood, I said, looking at the doorway. You pointed to the space beyond me, where something had begun to scrape against the stone floor. The drag was clean, metallic, like the protest of heavy furniture being rearranged. That's where the concrete people were, you whispered. You were pointing at something older than the eucalyptus trees, but I was looking at your hand. It was longer than mine, patrician, elegant. Something voiceless murmured beneath my right ear. It sounded like the roll of wind between trees. It sounded envious. You had such fine piano fingers. A breath licked the back of my jaw. It was a shame no one had taught you to play. The scraping was right behind me. It sounded wet, more organic. I forgot how to breathe. I wanted to be far from here, showing you how to play chopsticks or greensleeves. I would press my fingers lightly on yours to shift them to the next note. Something cold and stone and impatient tapped me on the shoulder. I didn't turn. I didn't turn because you had taken one more step and it brought your face into a patch of light. Your eyes met mine, and I felt the way I sometimes did when I watched waves flutter and crash at my grandparents' home. Everything was motion, a blur of blue and gloss, and then stillness. The world would slow, and I would see every detail of the frothy crest, the stretch between the arc and the break. It felt like reverence. It was like that now. Do you ever feel your heart? You whispered. I had, I supposed, when I ran or was frightened. Because, you said, I never feel my heart unless I'm with you. Silence filled the Shriker, and the Shriker filled the silence. And the whole of it crashed into me, and I knew there would never be life without this feeling. All I wanted was to crawl out of my body and into the space between your fingers. And I didn't know what to say, so I said your name, and you said mine. The world revolved. Ancient things breathed. The Shriker decayed a millimeter further. You said my name, and I said yours. Thank you very much.